Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me well? My name is Chagit Inbar-Litas, and I am the head of languages and other things in the JW3. And we are very happy to see all of you today here in the JW3. I just want to say a few words about the JW3 for those who never came to visit us before, or those who abstained from coming for a few years, weeks, months. So just to tell you a little bit about what we are doing here. Besides the normal courses, we have classic music. I don't know if you knew that. In the level of Wigmore Hall, once a month, a concert of classic music here. We have lectures like this one. We have belly dancing. We have Krav Maga, boxing. We have an exhibition that we were hanging today, Orit and me. It's an exhibition of paintings that were done by Israeli children and their parents from the south of Israel, just next to Gaza. They had a special workshop, kind of treatment, and they all painted. And we brought 50 paintings from Israel. It's not me. They brought 50 paintings, and some of them are hanged up here on the second floor. And so you are really invited to come and see the exhibition and contribute if you want to. We, of course, have the bridge of love locks. I don't know if you noticed them when you came into the building. So you are welcome to pick up a lock, write a message to the hostages in Gaza, and hang it on the bridge. With no further ado, you're welcome just to see all our things that we have here, either online or you have catalogs and brochures outside. I would like to invite, I'm very happy to say that we are sharing this event with the Tel Aviv University Trust in UK, who is sharing with us the event. And I would like to invite Lilach to continue.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be here and very happy for you to be able to share Dror's talk with us. Dror it's his second time here with Tel Aviv University Trust. We had an event with him in early November, and it was a big success. That's why we asked him to come again. Tel Aviv University Trust is basically friends of Tel Aviv University, and these days all of our efforts go into helping the reservist soldiers and students coming back from the fighting, the war. They need a lot of help. They need scholarships. They need assistance in every aspect, and we are trying to be there for them. And part of what we do is fundraise for them, and we also offer our alumni a lot of options for events and collaborations. We have very, very successful alumni here in the UK, in London specifically, and we like doing things with them. And when I knew that Dror is coming, I used to work with Dror in the Israeli TV a long, long time ago, and I asked him to come do an event because he's also a Tel Aviv alums, as am I, and this, as you say, the rest is history. So let me please welcome our brilliant alum, Dror Globerman.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you very much for coming here. Although usually I expect a little warmer welcome, Lilach. I mean, most of the audience doesn't really know who I am. But I was ready. I was prepared for the situation. I invited an old friend of mine. We went to kindergarten together to present myself to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for something truly special. I'm here to introduce Dror Globerman, a real standout in the world of innovation and technology. This guy is phenomenal. Not only has he been the face of some of Israel's most acclaimed TV shows on Keshet, the biggest channel out there, but he's also been the voice on Galei Tzahal, the national radio, and the mind behind Israel's top innovation podcast. And let's not forget Skip Intro, newsletter that's a must-read for thousands. Today, he's bringing us a guide to 2040. Trust me, it's going to be insightful, forward-looking, and absolutely huge. Dror's got the vision that can really show us the future. You're going to get a lot out of this.
Okay.
Let's give a big
Enough with
warm welcome
enough
to Dror
with it.
Globerman.
Lilach, I hope you get the message. Next time,
Thank you.
do like this. But what I really wanted to show you is what a 5 minutes of work is worth these days with AI. I did that with five minutes, with publicly available tools to everyone here. Nothing too fancy, nothing too complicated, zero programming or any knowledge of computers. 3 AI tools that you can all use, can produce easily videos like that. Now you can probably notice the little differences in the quality of different medium, right? Different media. The text, I believe, was flawless. I mean, it really resembles Donald Trump style. The facts are, of course, all misleading regarding myself. The voice, I mean, could you tell it's not really him? Some could, some couldn't. Okay, this is what 5 minutes of work will give you. 10 minutes will be undisputable. And the video, well. But again, 5 minutes today. Imagine what 5 minutes of work could do in 6 months or 12 months. Much better. This was not available 6 months ago or 12 months ago. Okay, so this is the pace. This is the speed that things are moving. But before I continue on this direction, I must first acknowledge that I'm super excited to stand here today with you, really to my core. And the reason is this. These are my 3 daughters, Nuri, Dani, and Karmi, right here in this place. This is Karmi here. And I was introduced to JW3 as, well, the closest word is refugee 4 months ago. And they helped out my kids and my family, just as many other Israeli families that found themselves in London and unable to go back home at the beginning of October. And I'm appreciative and thankful for eternity for whatever you guys did for us and for others during this period. It was, I cannot explain how important and moving this help was, just as the help I received, and my family and other Israeli families received from other families here in London, from the Jewish community and Israeli community. So thank you so much. Really, I appreciate it. I'm really moved just by recalling this. And what I learned from this period was what community is, what being a Jew is. I had no idea before, and now I do. Okay, moving on. Yeah, by the way, my girls tried their best to destroy this place. As we can see, unsuccessfully, luckily. And now I want to circle back to where we started. So I watched carefully, as I bet you all did, His Royal Highness King Charles III's first speech at the House of Lords last November. Have everyone watched that? Good. So I chose an exact 15 seconds that I do care about. Please pay attention.
My ministers will introduce new legal frameworks to support the safe commercial development of emerging industries, such as self-driving vehicles, introduce new competition rules for digital markets, and encourage innovation in technologies such as machine learning.
All the buzzwords I need in the world. Yes. So you can see how excited he is, just as I am, about self-driving cars. And I really want to ask first, where are they? Where are those self-driving cars? We have been promised them for almost 20 years now, right? I remember The promises run back to 2018, 2019, 2020. They're coming, they're right around the corner. You have an answer, sir?
Yeah, 20 years ago we were promised
Flying
flying cars.
cars. Where are they? Where are they? What's up with all this technology and all those promises? Aren't they working as promised?
Driverless car.
Select destination.
Hi, I'm going to 5230 Newell Road, Palo Alto.
Route guidance calibrated. Distance to destination 4.6 miles. Buckle up, please.
Okay.
Enjoy your ride.
Okay, so anyone here in this lovely audience who has taken a ride with a driverless cars, please put your hands up in the air. You too. Simon, what kind of car did you drive? Did you not drive, actually?
No, in San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
It was specific, like it's not Uber or something. I forgot the name. Last year.
Last year?
Yeah, and in San Francisco was really.
It's a good experience.
It was good experience.
It was. And you?
Phoenix, Arizona, months ago.
A month ago. And how was it?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Very impressive.
How freaked out were you to let go control?
No, it was good.
It was good. Wow. So we have two happy users in the audience, and we have some unhappy audience that is not anymore in the audience. And there really have been quite more than a few cases in which this driverless button, right, this autopilot button, was the last button anyone pressed in their lives, and it truly helped. So I'm really happy for you to be here with us. And usually, the car that most people think of, speaking of autonomous vehicles, is this Tesla. And Elon Musk, the entrepreneur and the owner, has been promising full self-drive for quite a few years now. This promise was the last one a year and a half ago, and he was promising them before and after, and they're not fully operative. We're gonna dive into the reason in a second, but more importantly, why do we care about that? Hold on for a second, I'll be right there. First, I wanted to feel the great advantage of having a computer controlling the car instead of you.
I'm in the left turn lane, I'm checking my right mirror, and all of a sudden the car lurches and brakes. In the time that my car hit the brakes and I whirled around and stomped on the brakes myself, it was about a second. But that 1 second would have put me teed right into that car.
Okay. So there are quite some people already that are alive thanks to those systems that are able to spot and act upon threats on the roads in which humans wouldn't be able to either notice or act quickly enough. Okay? This machine sees 360 degrees around you constantly. It can see through fences, which you cannot, and it can brake spontaneously. Okay? So there are quite few advantages that are very clear. And here's another great advantage. I'm showing you now Israeli Mobileye. This is in Jerusalem. And the autonomous car is the one right there in the middle with the blue circle on the roof. Can you spot it? Yes? So it is trying to take a left turn, unprotected left turn, they're calling it, right, without a traffic light. And as you can see, it's a little complex because there are tons of traffic from either direction, both from the right and from the left, from the bottom and from the top, and the bus is, it's hard to see for the car. The car cannot see all the traffic on the left. And if that's not enough, do you see this white little spot moving? And there it is, a person with a huge YAML car just wandering without any specific logic around this road. Interesting. It's interesting to sort this out, and look how the car reacts. Like a good Israeli, it pushes through, takes right of move, right of, yeah, and goes in. And even, by the way, this car, the brain of this car is currently driving autonomously where? In China, inside a car called Zeekr. Okay, by the way, it brings to mind, do you remember the Israeli aircraft that was developed 40 years ago, Lavi, right? And it was stopped by US pressure. It's also flying in China, by the way. Okay, so we have seen some advantages, but there are some disadvantages, very clear and evident right there. This is the first casualty from driverless car. It happened some 6 years ago, and there have been some more casualties just like that ever since, specifically around Tesla cars. And it has raised lots of rejection because people are magnetized to the event, right? So there was a car accident, somebody died, and everybody's yelling. Does this make any sense? No. What should we measure? Exactly. We should compare what's happening in autonomous driving scenario to human driving scenario. I mean, we all aspire to zero accidents, but this is not going to be happening anytime soon. So let's just ask ourselves, what is good enough? Okay? In the meantime, 2 years ago in San Francisco, this has happened.
Oh my God, this is so cool. I cannot believe this is happening. There's no driver in here. Jamie, there's
It's
no
so
driver
cool.
in this car.
It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so was this the car you drove in? Okay, probably it is. Because there are two companies, Waymo, that is owned by Google, and Cruise, that is owned by General Motors, and they were allowed to operate in very strict confinements at the beginning, very designated area, designated hours, designated weather, but slowly they have expanded it until Google's Waymo was offered license to commercially operate, but its rival, General Motors Cruise, was misleading the regulators and giving them wrong, false data. And that, of course, rolled into a serious trust issue, because if they don't give us true data of what's happening there, it's not right. It doesn't make any sense to allow them to operate. Yeah, there was a horrible accident in which a woman was hit by a human-driven car. She flew into the other lane. She was hit by an autonomously driving car and was dragged for some 20 feet for 7 meters. This was not the problem. The problem is that the Cruise, the company that was controlling this autonomous vehicle, didn't give all the recordings to Ministry of Transportation. On the other hand, Waymo, which is owned by Google, disclosed some very interesting numbers. After 7.1 million driverless miles, they concluded the driverless cars were 6.7 times less likely than human drivers to be involved in crash resulting in an injury. 85% less, which is amazing, and 2.3 times less likely to be in a police-reported crash, 57% reduction. Is that good enough for us to give up control and leave the steering wheel? No. What do you demand? What is good enough? You expect perfection. But this is really an open question. I don't have the answer. And the question is, if this car actually, if it's true, and it's killing 7 times less people, is it moral to not allow it to work? And I mean, you're allowing this other 7 people to still be killed while you can spare their lives. It's hard, right? It's really not clear answer. And yet, who would have used a car that is 7 times more safer than us? Interesting. Like a third of you guys. And I know why the other 2/3 do not raise their hands. Because everybody is quite certain that they are driving way better than average. Dramatically. So, right? 7 times, I'm 10 times better. And I understand that. I feel so myself as well, by the way. I'm not better than anyone else. In the meantime, by the way, so as His Royal Highness said, driverless cars are coming to the UK, so be ready for that, and ask for the right data to know if you want to use those cars or not. Here's some data for you. This technology exists, it works, and what we are doing is putting into place the proper legislation so that people can have full confidence in the safety of this technology, says the Minister of Transport Secretary Mark Harper to the BBC. Yeah, and he sees 2026 as the year in which this happens. By the way, there's already one specific car that was granted, that was allowed to use to take the roads, Ford Mustang's Mach-E, where you can leave the grip, but you must still look at the road. All those middle technologies, I don't like them so much. I mean, I think it's hard for people to understand where exactly does my responsibility ends and the car's responsibility starts. It's either or. This is what I feel, but we can debate. But now, let's raise our forecast to 2040, where maybe most of the driven miles will be driven by autonomous cars, okay? By the way, shared cars. We don't own them. Take this into consideration. This is, by the way, coupled with the electric vehicle revolution, in which, as you can see, like 11 million cars are expected, 11 million electric cars are expected to be driven in the UK. So what's the first consequence of us using autonomous cars which we do not own? What don't we need anymore? Insurance. We're going to pay for it in the ride fee, right? But we're not going to be buying it. But by the way, it's probably going to be way cheaper, because we will not allow driverless cars unless they're much safer. It's much safer. We can lower the cost of insurance. Good. What else? Good. Parking. Now, parking takes up tons of space everywhere. And this allows a whole new urban planning and building. Imagine that. Think of all the space that parking is taking up everywhere and eliminate just half of it. Right? It frees up so much new space for new construction, for new parks, for new whatever, for new JW3, JW4, I say. Let's put up a JW4. This is amazing because you know that whole cities, most prevalent in the US, but also elsewhere, they are just unwalkable, right? Because of the huge parking lots that nobody walks the street because it's just not fun anymore. It was never fun because of the huge space that is taken up. And look at London, where it's densely populated. This is a good place to live in. This is a good place to wander the streets in, okay? So this might change. You also mentioned driving license, right? Driving lessons, also license, also repairs, and? MOT. Not needed. So many things might change when this single technology of driverless cars will be widely introduced. And let's look at the cost for a second. The cost of a single ride could be reduced by some 60 to 80%. Now imagine that. What's the cost of a taxi ride right now? Lower that by 2/3. What does it do to the demand if price goes down? Demand goes up, right? Dramatically up. You will not think twice whether to order or not and order another ride. And here's a very interesting lesson that we can learn from San Francisco. What is your gut feel? When autonomous cars will be prevalent in the streets, what will happen to traffic jams? Up or down? Down. Why?
The car will talk each other.
You're thinking about the connectivity between cars and the ability to control them efficiently from a single computer that sees everything and manages it efficiently. And you're thinking about using less cars. Because we don't own a car, we share a car, so it means less cars. Any other thoughts? Yes, please.
They'll go way up because pedestrians will go wherever they want. People will just roam the streets.
With cars?
No, people will walk.
Will walk. Oh, so cars won't be able to move anymore.
Yeah, because people will be wherever. They won't be run over. There's no danger as a pedestrian.
Oh, yeah. They've been trying this out in San Francisco. In the cars that we just saw, people are just jumping into the road to see how does the autonomous car respond. Really, they're testing them out on their own bodies. No road rage, because you don't. I mean, you can be angry, but it's not up. The computer is cool. I get it. But what if I told you this? Over 10 years ago, Uber started UberX, right? Where everybody can pick up their own car and supply rides to anyone in a reduced price. What happened to the roads? Congestion went crazily up. And the surprise was that most of the people who used this service were not those who left their own private cars at home, but were the people who left buses and trains in favor of cheap taxi rides. Because if it costs half, I can use it too. And if autonomous rides will cost half or a third, you can expect the tube to go empty. And people are going to use it more. So when I'm asking transportation expert, they're very hesitant. They don't know if it's going to go up due to this or down to what you just mentioned. Both ways are possible. But what they all agree on is that the solution to traffic congestion will always be one big box moving quickly to the same direction with lots of people, which we call train or bus. And no car is going to change this ever. Maybe on the contrary. And this is just a very short list of the unintended consequences of this single technology called driverless cars. The list goes on and on. Here are some economic results or possible outcomes of using driverless cars. By the way, let's think for a second about the prices of real estate. If I'm not driving, do I still need to live close to where I work? In the city, where it's costly? Not necessarily. Maybe I could live out in the outskirts and use this autonomous car, which I'm not driving, and therefore I don't care if it takes 26 minutes or 32 or 52. I don't care. I just sit there, and what do? I work. I watch some Netflix. I sleep. By the way, they're talking about having a barber car where you can get a haircut, or a gym car, or a video conference car, or a bed car, or whatever, because you have tons of newly freed time to use in some way. So it's possible that the prices of real estate will go deeply down because people will be happy to live elsewhere. And here's another unexpected consequence. What you're going to watch now, yeah, it's funny. So last week, people in San Francisco just raged, by the way, road rage, raged over autonomous car, destroyed it. And what you're going to hear is a song that was written, lyrics and music, and performed by AI to commemorate this event. Okay? Hold on. There it is.
In San Francisco streets, a tragic scene, a driverless Waymo car, once free and clean, now lies in pieces, broken and torn, protesters full of hatred deserve our scorn. Oh, driverless car, your journey's end. We mourn your loss.
I don't know what's more amazing. I mean, the pictures or the music, again, 100% AI involved. And, okay, and until, sorry? Why did they protest against it? Good question. Let's imagine this huge disruption coming to your streets, and I guess it has to do something with the sense of powerlessness vis-a-vis those robots. fear of change, I guess, and the chance to revenge this feeling against something that cannot hit you back. Loss of control. And honestly, I do understand those feelings. I do. And they are very prevalent in many places around the world in different shapes and forms. But who mentioned flying cars? All right, you did. So actually it was a few years already, I was standing next to this. And as you can see, it's not a taxi and not a car. This is a flying air drone taxi something. I was really astounded to standing next to, but they are already taking it up to the air. It's really working.
We got our first spinning up. 1, 2, 3, sequentially.
Okay, so this is it's a manned drone. I don't know how to call it. Air taxi, flying car, manned drone.
With or without a pilot.
This is Chinese. This is the American Joby that can carry 4 to 5 people. Will be able to carry when it become operative. By the way, the Chinese thing is already operative. It's flying in many places around the world. This is Joby. It's supposed to be flying in like taking people up the air in 2 years. Yes, of course. By the way, it could be safer than regular air traffic, air vehicles, due to the fact that it's completely autonomous, controlled by computer. All you need to do is just type in your destination. That's all. Computer, as you said, will coordinate all air traffic. And as you can see, they are all under the category of eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff and landing. Vertical takeoff and landing. You don't need a runway. So they can take off everywhere. From those parking lots that we evacuated before. From the rooftop, from your garden. And this little animal here, it's called Air. It's actually developed in Israel. This is not autonomous. And the smart piece here is this little control stick in the middle you're going to see in a second. It's actually flying. This controller, it's all you need to do to fly this thing. That's it. No other buttons, no nothing. Forward, backwards, up, down, right, left, that's it. And flying this can be taught in a 1-hour course. But since it doesn't sound too substantial, then they will offer 15 hours course. So it feels like you've learned something. But 1 hour is enough. I've spoken to the entrepreneur of this. By the way, he sold a few, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, don't tell it to anyone, to the army. And this is, how does it go? Oh, no, the question is regulatory. Okay, it shouldn't go higher than a few hundred meters. But it's the question of regulation. What's the range? And this is delivery drones, which are, by the way, coming to England in the next few months. Did you hear about that? Amazon is bringing delivery drones to here. You'll be able to order a package that is until not above 5 pounds, 2 and something kilos. It will take an hour. And it will land the package in your backyard. Sorry? Is it more or less sustainable? Well, usually taking it through the air will consume more energy, right? And carrying less weight. So I guess it's less sustainable. On the other hand, flying through the air allows those drones to fly directly in an area line. So it's a good question. It's a good question. Sorry?
They're already delivering medicines to Scottish Islands.
Wow. I know that this is happening in Africa. Delivering medicines with drones, of course, in emergency events, not just regularly, I guess. Yeah? So this is happening. But I want to ask you, what do you feel, what kind of disruption will this do to shopping, to the experience of shopping. If you know that every small package could arrive at your doorstep within maximum 1 hour, probably much less, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Oh, so we don't need that. Where do you live? Finchley. Sorry? I know, but I mean, let's imagine that every desire, you can fulfill it within a few minutes. Right? So I think we're going to the areas where everything going to be much more compulsive, right? Yeah, you just need to stand at the cashier and see all those.
How do you control all this traffic?
Oh yeah, this is going to be also autonomous. And after we're going to have few autonomous services, somebody will have to connect the computers. Only after something crashes, probably, they will have to connect the computers, right? And decide what's happening. And then we'll have those kids with those manually driven drones. They're probably going to try to bump into those delivery drones. It's going to be fun. Going to be fun.
In America, they shoot them.
They shoot them, the drones, only if they infiltrate your own property, right? But I would shoot them anyway because I think it's fun. I mean, by the way, I flew one of these last week with a helmet. Guy, this is I mean, it's such a great experience. You just put on a helmet, you can see everything through the point of view of the drone, and you fly it with your eyes. Really, it's heavenly. Anyway, so we let go the delivery guy. We don't need them anymore. We don't need drivers. We don't need pilots. We don't need lots of different occupation. And this is what's been happening in any industrial revolution. Any technological advancements bring the same, right, list of professions that are no longer, let's not say no longer, that are majorly disrupted, okay? And the interesting thing about this list is that it is wrong. I mean, it was true 2 years ago. Now it's completely wrong, upside down. We're going to look into this in a second, but I want to still stay with the first profession on the list, fruit preparation. Happy to say I visited this restaurant in San Francisco. It's called Creators. And can you see what they're preparing here? Yeah, it's a burger. And the interesting thing is that it's a personalized burger. Upon your arrival, you're handed a laptop, an iPad, and you can customize how much ketchup, how much cheese, how much whatever. And as you saw, all the vegetables are freshly sliced into your bun. And that's completely different experience than buying, I don't want to name names like McDonald's, but when you're buying there, the tomato is already set and dry and like lays there. So it really tastes something else, and the price is almost as McDonald's. It produces the same. I went there with my photographer. He ate the 2 burgers of his and mine because this is what photographers do. And also, I stopped consuming meat long time ago. I'm waiting for this, the cultivated or cultured meat.
Game-changing moment in cellular meat history. We're getting closer to our vision of creating a cellular steak, providing the experience, look, and feel of the steak we...
So Aleph is also an Israeli firm, and it was the first firm to be granted a permission in the UK to deliver its cultured meat. Are you familiar with this revolution? Yes? Taking a single cell from a cow, a chicken, and it multiplies in a bioreactor until it grows into a fully grown steak like this, although it's still thin. But what I'm told, by the way, I was promised a bite, and it was never delivered to me yet. It tastes the same. You cannot tell the difference. And the question I think we should ask now is, by the way, this is Professor Shulamit Levenberg. I think she's going to win a Nobel Prize in the next few years. She's doing the same, by the way, in her laboratory in the Technion, not only to grow steaks, but also to grow human tissues for implant, for people who suffer severe burns. So let's imagine. Before we ask that, maybe we should say that there are still lots of hesitations around this technology. We naturally understand that it should taste the same, right? Because nobody's going to compromise any of this experience. We understand that it should be approved by FDA. By the way, it was already approved by FDA, also by its British counterpart. For those who care, it's also kosher and parv. But בחזקת בשרי. It means that you cannot mix it with milk, but it's parv. Only Judaism can do that. Sorry? The woman's name? Professor Levenberg, Shulamit Levenberg, from the Technion. Okay, so it's kosher, it's parv, it tastes the same, it should taste the same to all of us. And still there are some obstacles on the way, which is, of course, price. It costs way, way more, and the question is when we're going to see price parity with regular meat. But let's imagine this is not coming in the nearest future, okay? Why do we even need that? What is the incentive to even develop cultured meat? Of course. Livestock is one of the worst polluters around the globe. And many people say that the best thing that a single person can do in order to take their part in healing the world is stop consuming meat and other products from livestock. But now I want to ask you, imagine you're going to the supermarket and there are two packages of meat, right? The way the same, looks the same, even tastes the same. One is from a real cow that was sliced into this package. The other one grew in a lab. No cows were harmed during the process. And this one costs X, this one costs 1.6X. Who would pay 60% more to spare this cow's life? Oh, this is a very morally conscious audience. Sorry? We're in London. This is the highest percentage I've ever seen of people willing to pay 60% more.
Probably still cheaper than kosher.
So there is still chance. Oh, before that, there is chance for that. But I do want to tell you, it's going to be first introduced. Going to be first introduced in restaurants where chefs will be trained in how to prepare this type of meat, so it tastes really good. It's going to be a little more complicated than regular food preparations, and this is why we are not going to meet this at the supermarket before restaurants. Only later they're going to put it in supermarket, and it still needs to be refined also from energy consumption perspective. Speaking of food, I don't know if you know, but this is no future. This is present. And this is how present time agriculture is being made. And there are two aspects to this. Both are equally imaginative, and they're crazy when they're combined. One is the censoring. Those machines are sensing each and every slightest of the changes within every plant. They measure every tree, every leaf, every fruit, a few times a day. They can tell if it grew by 0.5 millimeter there, if the color changed, if the thickness is different, shape, color, sugar. And as you can see, each lettuce has a name. They know how much to water it, how much to pesticide or fertilize, and it's also coupled with weather data, soil data, grain data, and everything is optimized through artificial intelligence, of course. So we have sensing and we have robotics that take care of the plants, and this is again not future at all. This has already been happening for a few years. Precision agriculture, this is like the brand name of this field, using advanced AI and robotics to grow crops in the fields. And here's something that I just came across a few days ago. I was astounded. Look at this.
You'll never guess what's happening under this hood. A robot is self-targeting weeds and killing them.
These things have never been done before, anywhere, in any field. Ag is a fantastic place to do it because the value of the work is very real.
Our planet's population is...
Yes. So there's a robot that is shooting weeds on the ground. Like this. I find it kind of crazy, but there are different crops and different growers with different means all around the world, and you need to adapt those robots, the technologies to different growers, to different capabilities, to different workforce with different learning curves, right? So this is what the companies are doing all over the world. And this machine is specific to vines, for example. By the way, vine growers, they use drones to roam above their fields and spot illnesses in the size of a leaf. Before it impacts a whole portion of the field, the drone tells you, I see this little insect over there, you can just chop it and you're done. And this has been happening for a few years now. And the reason I'm showing you this is because this is, I think, the most tangible example to the big thing. And the big thing, of course, is the Industrial Revolution we're in now, and the part that AI and robotics and sensors and internet everywhere has been playing in this revolution. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this. Probably you are. This fourth box have been there for some 10 years now. And in the last 2 years, there is something completely else that has been happening with generative AI, you've probably heard of, right? ChatGPT, Midjourney, all these. And I don't know yet, history will judge, if this gonna eventually turn into a new whole block over here, or this is part of this one. I don't know. But I do know, I hope I know what revolution means, and revolution means that I don't know nothing. Because let's imagine, for example, does anyone remember here the electricity revolution? Anyone remembers homes with no power? Before power arrives? Do you? Do you remember? Do you remember the day that they connected your home to power? You think you do. How old were you then? You're age 7. Oh my God. This is fascinating. Is this a real memory or a recreated memory? It's hard to tell. By the way, you have machines that can tell that as well. You're not sure. Can I fill you in with what you may have missed? I think nobody imagined that having power at homes would eventually roll into next generation, grow 5, 6, 7 centimeters higher than their parents. And the next generation is again few centimeters higher than their own parents. Why? One of the reasons, there are many reasons. One of them is improvement of health services naturally, but also power allowed us to put freezers in the homes. Freezers, you can freeze proteins in the form of meat, and then you can supply constant meat and proteins to the kids, and then their DNA fulfills its full potential of growing high, right? So I'm 5 to 6 centimeters higher than my dad. He is 8 to 9 centimeters higher than his parents. That makes his parents like 30 centimeters. But I think we're all familiar with that, right? By the way, this process has finished. Sorry? Ooh, that's a question I cannot answer you. Hormones in the foods. Interesting. I don't know any connection between the two, but maybe it should be examined as well. But by the way, this process has ended because we are being fed quite nicely these days, and everybody is using or fulfilling their full potential to grow in their DNA. Specifically you, sir, you seem very high from my here. You're very high, you're very tall, of course. Thank you. But this is, again, an unintended consequences of connecting homes to powers, because when this happened back then, some 100 years ago, all people could think about was light and maybe radio. That's about it. By the way, what else happened thanks to connecting homes to power, to electricity? Unexpected. Washing machine, and then? Who said that? You there, right. Can you say it up loud?
Women had the time to not wash and attend to the kids and improve their lives.
Yes. I usually prefer somebody else to say that. than myself. I prefer women, but yeah, historically it's correct. Washing machine and other machinery inside a home allowed women to fulfill their skills in other places, and you can see it in the graphs of women going out to work few years after power was introduced into homes. Again, unintended consequences of a newly introduced technology. So what is this going to do? Now, computing or internet or smartphones, we all remember, right? Most of us. Where's Michael? You don't remember that. You don't remember life without internet or smartphones or any of those fancy words you guys have. But we do recall that you cannot explain to anyone by 1992 what internet will do to their lives, right? This is unimaginable. How this is going to transform your work, your studying, health services consumption, your connection, your expectation to connecting to other people, unimaginable. So this is where we're standing now. It's just the beginning. I cannot tell you where AI will take our lives. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If this is the final revolution. Yes, I have.
Okay, so that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It's that exponential curve that will just suddenly shoot up.
It's true. Remember exponential, I'm going to circle back to that in few moments. So here's something we can already say about this revolution that involves AI introduced widely into our daily lives. Here's a profession, a lovely profession that has been existing with human culture since the caves. And if your kids want to study that, I strongly advise against, unfortunately. And it's, of course, painting and everything that has to do with graphical designs. Because what's happening in this field, thanks to AI, is really unbelievable, unimaginable just a few months ago, right? I know who has tried playing with some generative AI in the field of graphical design and painting? Oh, yeah. How does it feel doing that? Like magic, right? I mean, as a non-artist, I feel like that I grew wings. All of a sudden, I can draw and paint whatever I want. And it looks amazing, way better than I could have ever imagined. The story starts with this specific drawing. Exactly a year and a half ago, it was submitted by Jason Allen to a competition in Colorado. And he wrote in his submission form that this was painted by Midjourney. And he was given first prize. And when this was made public, the world of art went furious on the judges. How dare you grant a prize to a person who submitted drawing. By the way, it's an amazing drawing, look at it. Who submitted this painting and didn't really paint it himself. And the judges said, we didn't know it was AI. So they went to the painter, quote unquote. How dare you? And said, look at my submission form. I wrote it was painted with Midjourney. Judges didn't know what it was. They thought it's like a new type of color or brush or whatever. So they gave him first prize. And ever since, the world of art is trying to answer, unsuccessfully, the question, is this art? Is AI-generated art an art? I don't know what you feel about that. I mean, when I look at this painting, I liked it. I like it. I like looking at it. I feel something. Do I care?
It's based on other artists.
Good. This is the other question that still has not been given a proper reply. The copyright question. Who owns this?
Don't go study art and graphic design. There won't be anything for the machine to feed on.
Ooh, that's a heavy spoiler to the end of the lecture. Thank you for that. Next time you're out, okay? But seriously, the question has not been answered yet. Who owns this? Is this the person who gave direction to the machine? It's called a prompting, and it's just plain English words that you give the machine, and it gives you a painting that you just asked. Anyone in the room can do that, very easy. So does this belong to the person who wrote the direction? Does this belong to the person who wrote the machine, the code that does this? Does this belong to the, 2,700 painters from which those ideas were stolen? But how does it work? So remember the agriculture machine that measures all the crops in the field and understands, thanks to big data and analytics, how to grow best those crops. So it's the same logic, of course, that works in AI every time. So this machine, it's called Midjourney. It has collected over 6 billion pieces of art, sketches, commercials, whatever graphic it found on the web. By the way, with copyright, without copyright, just stole anything. And it read the text around each and every piece. And it understood the connection between the text and the visual. And now it's able to produce it the other way around. You enter the text, and you're given a handmade, a computer-made, on the spot, creation for you the way you asked for it. But it is based on other people's creation, but nobody is able to, almost never, to trace back where is this piece exactly taken from. And then you can produce all those unbelievably beautiful pieces of art. Again, those are not pictures that anyone had ever photographed. This is not Google photos. These were generated by AI as a response to somebody's prompt. This is specifically Midjourney 6, which is the last version, 6.2. And as you can see, by the way, it can be in different styles, different colors, different atmospheres, different expressions. You can be very, very specific of what it is exactly that you want to see. By the way, you cannot ever forecast the outcome exactly. It's going to be somewhere around what you asked. Very beautiful, but not exactly the thing you asked for. So you need to be a little flexible if you're willing to use that. If you're not flexible, for example, if you own a company and you want to use the exact brand or the exact logo or colors, you might not be able to use it, definitely not without further manipulation by graphic artists, but this might be temporary. Wait a few months and this also changes.
If you provide the same specifications,
very good question.
2 different computers,
You can do it at the same computer. Ask twice the same prompt, you'll be given different outcomes. It's highly unpredictable. And when we're gonna later, we're gonna look into different sectors in which AI operates, this uncertainty is gonna play a very important role. Okay, by the way, I moved to a new place and I wanted to design my new little home office. So I just entered 2 words. I like to work as less as possible. So I just entered 2 words in my prompt, home office. And this is what I got. And what I'm showing you here is how smart this machine is. It understands exactly what artifacts should be included in the phrase home office. Look how many of them. A chair, a desk, a screen, a lamp, a window, a floor, some shelves, books, everything. It understands not only what artifacts should be there, but what are the relations between them. This is what happens when AI, scraping out 6 billion pieces of pictures and photographs from the web, it understands complex relationship between items, right? Now, I asked for this, I got this. If I don't like this, I can ask again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. It costs almost nothing, and I instantly get thousands new ideas for how my new home office could look like. So this is a crazy inspiration machine for many, many fields. And you can also ask it to produce a painting in the style of a specific artist. I guess you understand the problem, right? So a few months back, I invited one of Israel's most famous illustrators. His name is Asaf Chanukah. He is illustrating for the New York Times, and I think he did something for The Guardian, and he has some books out, like one of the best. And I asked him to send an illustration in advance. He sent this. By the way, as you can see, it says, top left corner, of course I'm listening. Only women understand. Women, please explain it to the person beside you. If you see an embarrassed male, please approach him and explain what's in there. It's something about the disconnection in long-term relationship. Would that be a fair explanation? Okay, so anyway, I took this and I'm going to mimic this illustration in the same style. It's going to be a different illustration, a whole different illustration, but it's going to stay the same, and the style will resemble the origin very much. And of course, what I do, as we do on television, I invite the artist to the studio to witness his own career going down the toilet together. So let's enjoy the outcome.
אז בתוך הרגע האינטימי הזה, הגבר הוא אסטרונאוט והאישה בוכה, למרות שהם שותים קפה ומאחורה יש את החללית.
וואו, קודם כל יש הרבה זוגות שהזדהו עם הדימוי הזה מאוד.
מקווה.
טוב, אז תשמע, ביקשנו מ-Journey לחקות את הציור שלך.
אוקיי.
ואמרנו לו, זוג יושב, הגבר בתוך קסדת אסטרונאוט עם חליפת אסטרונאוט, והאישה מליטה את פניה בידיה וכוס קפה והכל. ולפני כן כתבתי, אסף חנוכה סטייל. תסתכל איך זה נראה. אוקיי, מצד שמאל שלכם, הצופים, זה אסף חנוכה אורגינל, מצד ימין זו הבינה מלאכותית שמחקה את הסגנון שלך. מה אתה אומר?
זה קשה לראות את זה.
זה יפה? מה זאת אומרת?
זה קצת טוב מדי.
זה קצת טוב מדי.
זה טוב מדי. וואו, אני רואה את זה שם בגדול.
כן.
Okay, that's not nice. And the point is that his fame is killing him right now. Because the internet is full of illustrations that are marked, signed by Asaf Hanukkah. And they have already been collected by this AI machine, which understood his hand, right, his style. And it can mimic it. Now, it's not 100%, and as you know, I like to be lazy, so I put a whole 12 minutes into this. I could have put a little more. But you can see, look at the hair, right? It's the same style. Look at the astronaut suit. I think mine is even better than his, more detailed. And I keep asking him about, more illustration in your style, and you won't be able to sell any of your, and your style will be stolen. And now he's changing his direction altogether. Look at that.
אני יכול לייצר אותם עכשיו בשתי דקות.
זה כן מעורר חרדה, אבל יותר מזה, זה מעורר סקרנות, בגלל שאני חושב שדווקא במקום הזה, אני פתאום יכול לקבל הרבה יותר כוח. כי יש לי תמיד המון רעיונות, אבל אני מוגבל בזמן ואני מוגבל בתקציבים, וזה נותן לי כמעט כלים של גיבור על, כי אני יכול לעשות מה שאני רוצה עכשיו. אני יכול גם ללמד קוד
Okay. I find this amazing. And this is relevant to each and every one of us living in this AI era in each and every profession. Look what he's doing. First, he's saying, I'm choosing to look at the opportunity rather than on the risk. Okay, I'm focusing on my opportunity to advance. And this is relevant to lawyers, to coding engineers, to accountants, to doctors, to managers, to architects, almost everyone. Choose to look at the opportunity. Secondly, and he's not saying it out loud, but it's clear, this involves meticulous learning of new tools. Because new tools are introduced at the pace of over 100 a day. Nobody can access that. Nobody can decipher or learn 100 new tools a day. But you need the one tool that is relevant to your profession, the 3 tools that you really need them, okay? That are relevant to you. You need to learn to use them. And you need to look at them and see how you can maybe connect few different AI tools to produce a new value, right? This is how I made this silly introduction clip with Donald Trump. It was ChatGPT who wrote the text and 11 labs who produced the voice recording based on a voice stamp that I preloaded, and of course DID, which turned the voice into a video. 3 different tools, they don't know each other. I just copy-pasted the outcome from one to the other, okay, and produced a whole new value from the combination of the 3 of them. And the third thing, which is the hardest, is after you understand the available tools, and you maybe imagine some new ways to produce value, you need to ask yourself, what is my unique value? What am I bringing into this? What can only I do that cannot be replaced by machine yet? What is his reply to that? The ideas, exactly. And everyone in this room who has been in relationship more than a year or two understand that, right? Packaging the whole feeling into one single illustration, there's some brilliance in there, right? So from his perspective, right now he's confined to thinking of an idea and then spending, I don't know how many hours, 3, 4, 5 a day in actually painting that, and then you can sell this painting. But if you have machines that can paint in your own style, it's not necessarily a problem. It's maybe a great advantage. Use them. Give them your ideas, and then you can spend your day thinking of not one, but 4 ideas, and produce and sell them. By the way, he's not doing that yet for the reason that we spoke about before, copyrights. He cannot claim copyrights on an illustration he did not paint himself yet. This might change in the future. Yes?
So you would put yourself into his painting?
Yes.
That's a unique aspect and it will never be...
I somehow agree. I could mimic that also with AI. It won't be as good as his, but let's imagine the editor of New York Times Magazine. Does he care about that? Not necessarily. If I offer my AI-generated illustration, if he sells it for, I don't know, $2,000, I sell it for $80, because it took 12 minutes. Okay? Yes?
In a way, it's going back, because all the big artists in history, the ones that we go to the museums to see,
Yeah.
they didn't paint their own paintings one by one.
They had helpers, right? They had little human machines that would paint for them. Yes, I agree. I agree. But I think this is very true from the perspective of art history. But the thing I want you to see is the double phase, right? The two faces of this technology. It could either destroy you or build you to new heights. By the way, this ability is now crawling into video. This is just a month-old presentation from Google, how you can turn text into not a picture, but video. So all you need to do is just type in a sea turtle swimming in the ocean, or a butterfly, or a woman from the back, or whatever you want. Yeah. Amazing. And then it took a month. This is how quickly things change in this world of AI. It took a month, and this is Google. Google's rival, OpenAI, introduced their product that can do this. Now, what you're seeing here, it's crazy, is a drone taking a video of the gold rush era California. Now, imagine what type of data this should encapsulate, right, in order to produce this. I cannot even imagine what's in there. By the way, if you look closely at this, you can see few awkward areas, like there's a horse that's being born and disappears into the ground and other stuff, but wow, this is crazy. Look at this. It's called Sora, OpenAI's Sora. Now, both of them are not yet publicly available. We're going to speak about this in a second. Look at this. All you need to do is ask for a woman's eyes in a close-up, and you get this. Or that. Just discovered, depicted in plain English. And this is what you get. No, this is not an elephant. This is a mammoth, of course, that was taking pictures. Now, what is the risk here? Fake.
You may have heard about potentially troubling uses of artificial intelligence when it comes to political campaigns. Well, here in New Hampshire, we're already seeing an example of just that.
Important that you save your vote for the November election. We'll need your help in electing Democrats up and down the ticket. Voting this Tuesday only enables the Republicans in their quest to elect Donald Trump again.
Okay, you get that?
Well, let's be clear. That was a robocall placed to voters right where we are here in New Hampshire, and the voice sounded in all...
So this has already been happening. The ability to mimic in audio or later in video, real live people such as political leaders already enables, it's not future, it's happening right now, already enables people to sway elections in different ways, like this robocall that performed few thousand calls during the elections in New Hampshire just a few weeks ago. And please remember, you don't need to convince everyone that this is not fake, right? You just need to convince 5%, 10% of those who receive these calls not to go to the ballots. That's all. Let's not go there. And if I want to touch very slightly and move on, do you recall this story? Yes. So on TikTok, which is the most influential social network among youngsters, definitely in the States, but also elsewhere, there has been a new trend few months ago where young college kids discovered bin Laden's letter to America. They were astounded, they were shocked. They say, I will never look at the world again after I've read the same, after I've read this. And they understand how flawed is the American system, how flawed capitalism is, and that Israel is to blame for taking down the towers in the 9/11 events. And please remember that TikTok is controlled by China. China is in strategic rivalry with the United States. Now, what I'm going to say now has no evidence. But let's assume there's no evidence. It's very important for me to state this out clearly. But let's assume that China is controlling TikTok just as it is controlling any other China-based company. And they do manipulate it. By the way, TikTok is operating in China, within China, in a whole different name. It's called Douyin, and it has very strict rules upon which content is available to its young users. Young users below 14 in China cannot use TikTok the same way our youngs can. They can only consume historical, art, and science and nationalist content up to 40 minutes a day, because China knows what kind of impact that has on young brains. But what version do we at the West get from China-operated TikTok? The heroin version that makes people an addicts to this network that has been giving them the exact thing they want to see every time. And of course, initiate larger amounts of dopamine inside their brains. But if China chooses, it can manipulate the system a little more, just to tweak the buttons a little bit, and perhaps raise the amount of inner US criticism said by US people, right? And spread that a little more. Nobody will ever be able to identify this, right? By the way, so this is why it's important for me to say, I have no evidence, nobody has, but this is one of the main suspicions around China-operated TikTok. And what we can say, that if you search things that China doesn't like Tiananmen, 1989, all that, you wouldn't find any results, almost, okay? The amount is much, much smaller. Interesting. By the way, Israel, Hamas, you know how this looks like. Hamas is winning 100-1. And maybe we can even venture further to say something strong as it's possible. I'm just thinking about that with you, but that capitalism and freedom of speech and technological advancement are right now the most serious, prominent threats to democracy. I'm still thinking about that, okay? But if I'm looking at what AI and social networks and capitalistic interest...
In this country, we have laws about hate speech. And those hate speech is not...
Is it enough? Is it enough?
The argument was that the freedom of speech trumped right to use hate speech, but that's changed.
Okay, I hope so. By the way, in many countries, they're trying to use regulation, right, to diminish, to tackle those challenges. I've not... Yes. Well, this is I see this as an advancement. By the way, it's narrowing freedom of speech, but this is an advancement, right? What we need to keep in mind that you can spread hate in 100,000 different voices that you cannot identify 90% of them, right? So what kind of regulation helps you? This is where we're standing, okay?
We can trace criminals on the dark web.
Not necessarily. I mean, people are operating bots farms in Indonesia, right? You cannot spot them, and they're sending tons of flawed messages, misleading, malinformation, disinformation in thousands.
Once we get quantum computing, the power of the government or the police to regulate these will be much stronger.
I hope so.
Roll on quantum computing.
So we have worked together on this bit, so I can segue easily to this convention in London last November, where they were talking about the challenges of AI, such as copyright infringement, toxic and fake content, bias, the problem of explainability. We talked about it before, the unpredictability of AI machines, which is a problem in law enforcement and medical care, and who is responsible for all this content, and what's going to happen to employment when all those changes will take part and will happen in large scale, and competition between companies, which will change dramatically when some of the companies get so much stronger with the help of AI. By the way, Britain has allocated 100 million pounds to AI research, out of which 10 million pounds are allocated to regulation, and this is split across 90 different regulators. Doesn't sound like much of regulation to you. So here's a discussion just around that.
Some people characterize the government's approach as doing pretty much nothing in the face of AI, when you're relying on existing regulators to have no more powers and to share £10 million between 90 different bodies.
No, I mean, I think that's not a fair or reasonable characterization. I would say, if you look at the work we're doing, for example, with the central AI risk function, developing monitoring and evaluation methods, if you look at the work we're doing with the AI Safety Institute, that is working really with colleagues across the world, focusing on developing our understanding of emerging AI risks and honing our response to that.
In the meantime, other jurisdictions, other countries are legislating. They are setting the benchmarks and the frameworks and the standards for AI. So surely any AI company worth their salt will just adhere to those standards, and the UK is just going to be caught out waiting.
Those who want to sell AI in those jurisdictions will need to take note of those. We do engage very, very extensively.
Are you convinced?
Particularly in the United States and also
because I find it kind of hard to understand where exactly this guy. He's the Minister of AI, and I'm a little confused, and I do understand why, because it's really a 2, even 3-phased front. On the one hand, you want to use the benefits of AI tools for the people, and for the companies, and for the economy. On the second phase, I don't know, you want to be perceived as a hub for international companies to operate at, right? Come use our economy, put AI into our economy. But on the third hand, you want to protect your democracy from those problems. And all countries around the world are struggling to understand that. Who has been using, by the way, GPT and like products on a daily basis? Good. Do I need to explain any of that? Not really? Yes, a little bit? Swiftly. Okay, quickly. So let me give you an example of what this can do. Okay, GPT, ChatGPT, just as other products, Gemini and Claude and others, they're called LLM, large language models. What they have done, they have read the entire internet. Just like the crop machine, the crop AI, agriculture AI, and just like, by the way, the driverless cars also, and just like the Midjourney that is generating pictures, this one has read every available piece of data over the web. And now, it has deeply understood them. in a way that you can ask any question and it generates the reply for you from its deep understanding of the available data. Here's a piece of example. My partner in life wanted to go to Italy, and this is what she searched for in Google. Now, from your experience, what did she get? Promotion. By the way, what for? No? It's funnier. For ski, which she clearly stated she is not interested in, okay? Anyway, but she got like 100 million results on Google. Google actually saying to you, maybe what you're looking for is here or there or there or there. I don't know, just go search. Now, 20 years ago, this was an amazing service. Google, you're so genius, how do you know everything? And now, it's horrible. What you want is to go on a trip, not on a research. It's a completely different thing. And then she takes the same query into ChatGPT, and look what she gets. ChatGPT has read, just like Google, all the available data on the relevant places in Italy, and now it's generating a response, a single village that is relevant to what you've asked for. This is the thing you want, right? Go there. Now, I remember we were looking at this, we were amazed, it was just the beginning, we were amazed, and she's like, oh my God, this is where I want to go. She searches for hotel, almost booked, and I was like, hold on a second, let's check the details, because we don't know anything about that. So it's about Taormina. Is there a Taormina in Italy? Yes, good. And they said it's a beautiful place with stunning views of Mount Etna. Does Mount Etna exist? It does. Good. We searched Google every piece of info. Good. They say that it's an hour drive from Catania International Airport. I don't know. Does Catania exist? Yes. Does they have direct flights to Israel? They do, during summer. But she wants to go in February. So all this is true, but doesn't work. Okay? And this is a very good example of the advantages and disadvantages of this machine. So in this example, it has saved her, some 3-4 hours research work, but she needs to check the details back on Google. Now, to produce another reply takes 1 more second. You can check this as well. You can check 3 or 4 replies, and there you go. You can go. Okay? But it will take you 10 more minutes to check this. Sometimes you save time, sometimes you save time, sometimes you don't. You need to know when. Yes, somebody wanted to ask something?
I was going to ask how old that is, because I think ChatGPT can now read the internet, as in it's up to date. You know, it used to have like since April, whatever, but now it can actually search the internet for flights. You can say, find flights in February.
Right. You need to use this plugin thingy. But yeah, it can search flights, and it can do many, many more things. Here are a few examples of what it can do, and this is just really scraping the surface. There are tons of usages. Imagine, you have a genius by your side that has read every available piece of data in every field. It's really that strong, hard to imagine, wisdom. Okay, so I want to skip a little bit because it seems to me that most of you have tried most of those things. Here's a fine example of what it can do. If you upload to ChatGPT a job description and somebody's CV and a description of the organization we're talking about, you can ask ChatGPT, now generate questions for the interview to the applicant that is entering my office right now. And here are the questions that are relevant for this specific job, for this specific organization, for this specific person, okay? So it saves tons of time. Now, if you are a person who knows nothing about hiring people to this organization, few of those questions here are utter bullshit. Don't use them. But if you are the person who this is their job, then you can easily know what's relevant, what's irrelevant, and use the better part of it, okay? So this is the way to use it. By the way, don't forget that it's definitely possible that the person who's entering the room, the applicant, has also done this. And also asked for the proper replies. Don't forget that. Okay, I'm running a little bit further. Those machines, by the way, can also read pictures. So what if I uploaded this picture and ask a question of understanding? How deeply do you understand the picture? What happens if I cut those wires? The strings, so the balloons would fly away. This is the machine reply. You get that? And here's a way to use it on a daily basis, on a day-to-day life This is amazing. So GPT, I bought this new bicycle. Please help me lower my bike seat. So GPT looks at the picture and he says, listen, there are two locks to the seat. Please take a close-up picture of my lock, of this lock, okay? So this is the lock. And the user asks, is this the lever? And as you saw, it is not. So GPT correctly identifies it's not a lever, it's a bolt. You'll need an Allen wrench to loosen it. Now take a picture of your toolbox and I tell you if you have the proper tool and where is it in your toolbox. I'm thrilled, really. We've never had any machine with such abilities. It's hard to imagine where exactly are the right spots in your life to use that because there's so plenty of them. A few days ago, there was this terrible light on my dashboard, on my car's dashboard that was turned on. You know what light is that? The one was shaped like an engine. Check engine. What does it exactly mean? I'm driving 100 kilometers an hour. Is it going to explode now? Am I supposed to pull over? What to do? So you can go through the manual, look for the proper page, or I just took a picture over to GPT of the dashboard and asked 2 words. What happened? That's all. It understood. What car am I driving? What am I referring to? What bothers me? And gave me the proper reply. Don't worry, you have a few days. You need to check. This is another capability of those machines. They can reply in English, in Hebrew, in French, in Arabic, in Spanish, and in Python. Are you familiar with Python? One of the most usable language. No, it's not music. It's coding. It can write code. And actually, most of the high-tech companies I know about ask their coders to use this machine. Instead of writing code yourself, you describe what kind of machine, coding machine, software, you want to build. And it writes it for you. Now, it's never going to be a perfect code. It will be only somewhere between 30 and 70%. Good. Okay, so we have saved half a day to the software engineer. Can you imagine the cost? It's already happening. It's not future. It's happening right now. Let's connect those two abilities. It can understand picture. It can write code. So if I have an idea for a website or an application, I can take a picture of it and in reply get a working web page or a working application without knowing how to code. Okay? Now this procedure, it's not refined enough. Wait a few more months. Okay? But you can already, if you have an idea, you can take a picture and ask to write a code that fulfills this idea that you have for an application. And now, let's take all this wisdom into your own data, your own files, your own computers, as Microsoft and Google are introducing AI tools inside your working areas, both in Office and Google Drive, Google Docs, and all that. So this is Microsoft. Can read your emails for you and generate text based on the content in these emails. It can turn this text into a presentation automatically. It's already working, it's not future time. Okay, this is the most crazy thing. I don't know how capable you are in analyzing the data you have in your Excel files. I'm not so talented in that. Never learned how to do that. And then if you work in an organization and you want your data to be analyzed, sales, HR, whatever, you need to wait for this data analyst to have some time for you, maybe at the end of the quarter, and look at the data and tell you what are the trends, where things are going, how can you improve your work. This is ended. Now everybody can be their own data analyst. You only need to describe in plain English what it is that you want to analyze. By the way, you cannot know what it is that you want to analyze. You can ask an open question. hey, Copilot, hey, ChatGPT, hey, whatever, what trends do you see in this piece of data? And they're going to look at the data and give you the trends that they're seeing. And you can continue the chat and ask for more data. By the way, you can do it on your own personal finances or whatever. Where is this going? What change do you see? Where am I going to be financially by 2026? I tried this, by the way. Looked good. I hope it fulfills. It can also forecast weather. Half a year ago, there was a hurricane on the eastern coast of Canada. And at the first time, 3 AI machines, different machines, have predicted precisely where this hurricane is going to land. Never happened before. Probably going to change things dramatically. And what you're seeing here is a new device called Human AI Pin that might be the replacement for your smartphone. Because using AI, it understands your day-to-day lives and what you're thinking about, what are your needs right now, according to geography, where you are, what time is it, who have you talked about, with, and what about. So you don't need all those applications because you don't really use them. And we can predict when you're going to open the underground application, when you're going to open Waze. Actually, it's quite regular. And the point is that they don't have a screen, nothing to get addicted to. And if you ask me, that's the problem. It's going to never succeed. People want to be addicted to screens. What's the use of a machine that you cannot get addicted to? This is the reply I got from Google when I searched for a very well-off family. It was in Hebrew, משפחה של תחונים. Anyway, well-off family, I got this, and now imagine how they are managing their finances, okay? And if they're using Morgan Stanley's wealth management office, they will find themselves consulting a person who himself is consulting ChatGPT. And ChatGPT that is installed already for a year now within the computers of Morgan Stanley has been reading over 100,000 pieces of papers that were written by Morgan Stanley analysis and advisors. And now it knows anything, but only on the very specific slot of stocks, currencies, bonds, whatever, economies around the world. And it also knows how does the investment portfolio of this family looks like. And what do they need now? High risk, low risk, east, west, more dollars, more energy, whatever, right? And it can give them the exact product that fits their needs and the market and what there is to do in the market. I'm taking it to education now. And there, are you familiar with Khan Academy? Khan Academy, probably the largest online school in the world. They have already rolled out something that is called Khan Migo. And whenever a student in whatever lecture and whatever lesson is getting stuck, he can hit a button already called Khan Migo. And Khan Migo opens up as a private tutor, private AI tutor. And there sits, quote unquote, an AI teacher that understands exactly what is the thing that this student does not understand and explains personally to them. And it has all the time in the world and all the patience in the world, and it costs nothing to explain the thing that you do not understand. And some other students get a different explanation. By the way, if you're interested in that, honestly, this was the most interesting lecture I've ever seen about education. Search in YouTube for Khan Sal. This is the name of the manager, the entrepreneur of Khan Academy. Khan Sal on May the 1st, 15 minutes on how to use AI in education. It is crazy. And if you're bothered with the way students are using AI to cheat in schools, then this gives you a whole different perspective on what this can do. This, by the way, was developed by Microsoft, and it allows students to read text to the computer in Hebrew, English, Arabic, 35 languages. And when they're reading out loud the text to the computer listens and understands where they are pronouncing the words correctly or not, and it turns this into data. And this data is available to the teacher. And now, when the students go back to school, the teacher knows exactly what kind of words they should focus on and what there's no need to put more time into, because everybody got this already. So it's not only improving the way kids are practicing reading at home, it also improves lessons in school. And it's already working in hundreds of schools in Israel and also elsewhere around the world. And I find it personally fascinating, but really the most fascinating era where AI is changing things is medical treatment, healthcare. And I guess you know that when we're talking about radiologists, okay, I'll let somebody else say that.
I think if you work as a radiologist, you're like the coyote that's already over the edge of the cliff, but hasn't yet looked down, so doesn't realize there's no ground underneath him. People should stop training radiologists now. It's just completely obvious that within 5 years, deep learning is going to do better than radiologists, because it's going to be able to get a lot more experience. It might be 10 years, but we've got plenty of radiologists already. I said this at a hospital, and it didn't go down too well, but there you go.
Yes, so this is Jeffrey Hinton, one of the godfathers of AI. He later kind of took it back a little bit. This is the correction he made. Yeah, but things are really happening very, very quickly. A few months ago, a person came to one of Israel's hospitals, and he was complaining on headaches. They sent him into the CT scan, and they installed a new piece of software on this machine a few weeks before, and this machine identified inner bleeding within his brain on the spot. No need to wait. And moreover, this machine was also connected to the list of phones of doctors in this hospital, and it spontaneously sent text message to the 3 senior brain surgeons: go into your car right now, come to the hospital. And his life was saved. And we're going to see lots of stories like that AI understood things quickly, and it can understand things that people don't really understand how it does that. For example, this eye scan that is used to identify illnesses within the eye. So AI can tell if this is a male or female, but no doctor can do that. No, that data scientist as well. Nobody knows how the machine knows if this eye belongs to a male or a female. Why is this interesting? Because imagine that this AI, and it actually already does that, could browse through all our medical history and identify connections, newly discovered connections that nobody knows that they are there, okay? And it can include DNA and style of living and sport and nutrition and your parents, what they have, and so on and so forth. And then we can predict where's the specific patient going. By the way, those services already exist and operate, right? There are in certain areas in the world, certain types of patients get prediction and preventive treatment according to this prediction already happening, and in 4, 5, 6 years, I guess we could all expect our life to be predicted for us and maybe given choices. Listen, better cut back on those chips. Move to broccoli a little bit. Or maybe the other way around, you know, DNA could be very misleading. I want you to meet Sassy. She's a British dog. She was very ill a year ago, and the veterinarian didn't know what to do. So the owner, he gave medicine, he gave medication, the dog's continued deteriorating, so the owner went to ChatGPT, copy-paste her blood exams and some of the symptoms and asked, what is that? And this is what ChatGPT replies: I'm not a veterinarian, but I can provide you with some possible conditions, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The owner understands nothing about this, just takes this as it is to the veterinarian, which looks at it, reads immune-mediated hemolytic. Oh, I didn't check this. Send the dog to some exams. This was the thing. Changed the medication. Dog is fine. Now, it's easy to tell a story about dogs. What about us? I mean, you probably remember these scenarios 20 years ago. We called the doctor Google, right? We used to consult Google and then mitigate our doctor with what we just learned from Google. It says we're going to die soon. And so now it's going to be much, much stronger. But don't forget, it could be still misleading, even though it's Very, very smart machine, as you can see from this research right here. Can you understand what's going on here? On 180 cases, GPT knew way better than doctors what it is that the patient has. And this is not the most surprising result in this research. This is, after GPT discovered what you have, it tells you what it is that you're suffering from in a much more empathetic way than real human doctors. And this is clear cut. Empathy is on the side of ChatGPT. Now, if you know doctors, any doctors in the room? Good. So it's understandable, right? Why? It's not really hard. So after we have destroyed doctors, engineers, what other Jewish profession we have left? Lawyers, right. So lawyers and investment bankers. So lawyers who have been using ChatGPT on work, as you can see, were more efficient, right? And more quickly, finished the work quickly, and quality went up. By the way, some of them were completely misled, such as the story of this little poor Mr. Schwartz in New York, who just asked ChatGPT to draft the court filing for him, and ChatGPT misled him completely and invented cases that were never true, and he filed it to court, and all the entire world is learning on his behalf now how to avoid such mistakes. So where is this taking us from the jobs and employment perspective? Usually, until now, new technologies were always disrupting jobs for everyone, but the net number was always higher of newly created jobs than those we have lost. The question is this history going to repeat itself? We don't really know. And here are some very, frightening predictions, such as this. But if you want to look at it a little more closely, please remember what we just said a few minutes ago. Some of those tools could benefit some of the professions, and some might take jobs away, and this, as a whole, might change. So this is one of the cliches that have been circling around in the recent year and a half, right? Probably seen it somewhere else. AI will not replace you. A person who's using AI will. It sounds nice to the ear. But then you have to ask 3 questions. Who teaches me this AI? Answer, me and myself only. How many people are needed? I mean, okay, so an AI, a person who knows AI will replace me, but is it the same number of people who are still employed? I don't know. There is a surplus product that is being produced here. Where is it going? Into my pocket? Into my employer pocket? Question with no answer yet, and some very big questions as we mentioned before. By the way, what is this going to do to equality, right? We can imagine how this increases inequality very steeply, very quickly, and it's coming. No doubt, we can see this already. This is from last week. You can see that the demand for writers has already been declining in the last year in 33%. Okay, it's a specific website called Upwork for freelance talents, but writing going down, translation going down, and also customer service. Because if you have a machine that can speak, then we can replace customer service with those machines. This is already happening. Okay, I think I'm going to skip a little bit about this little venture of Elon Musk with transplanting chips into brains. Apparently, it's been working nicely. So he says. By the way, zero information that we have on this venture of his. But another danger here is that people develop dependency on those AI companions, such as Replica. It's a readily available application. You can download it. It's going to be your best friend you've never had. It's going to ask you questions that you want to answer. It's polite. It learns you. It adapts to you. It's never insulted if you don't answer. It never insults you. It's always smart, intelligent. You can use that as well. And that raises a question of, I mean, if people are going to be emotionally dependent on those machines, where is human race going? Yes.
I came here at 7:30 depressed. And now
You've been even more depressed?
now I'm on the face.
On the face.
Yeah, I tell you why.
Yes, I know why. Okay.
No, I tell you why. Okay, everything is great, the technology, beautiful, it's going to help us.
Yes.
Don't doubt it, okay?
Uh-huh.
But it all becomes plastic, becomes fake.
Oh, your parents said that as well, 40 years ago.
From two examples you gave me, okay?
Okay.
First of all,
Why won't you? Wait.
the manufactured meat. So my grandchildren will not do barbecue. They'll just press the printer and they will get the meat. So where's the social enjoyment of having people around?
What do you mean? There's social enjoyment independent in slaughtering an animal? Who cares if the meat comes from a printer?
For example, you were talking about sitting at home and getting information about
Okay.
schooling. So people already opt for homeschooling.
Yes.
So people will stay at home and won't go
No. Okay, hold on. I'm going to address this in a moment because we have a little small bit. Because listen, it's 21:17. We need to respect people's time. Okay. You're going to say it after me. Hold on, okay? Hold on. Last challenge I want to address tonight and do it very quickly. Are you the youngest person around? 19? Anyone below 19 here? Below 18? Oh no. How old are you? Sorry? 14. Are you a mom? Can you cover her ears for a second? So, one of the most prevalent problems in the recent few years is this. Okay? And if we dissect it to age, we get this. What are we seeing here? Yes. I don't know if I want to explain this. Yes. So apparently, young people are having less and less sex, and this has. Now, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to any. Rega kapara, rega. I'm not talking about any moral preferences. When is the right time? With whom? Why? What? Let's not go there. Let's just look at the change. Ever since 2008, there's less and less and less. By the way, only for people younger than 29. All of the rest of us, everything is fine. I mean, either you have, either you don't, but nothing changed. At least that. But the young people, this is a drama. This is a major change. Can you tell what's the root cause of that? Steve Jobs. Who said that? Very quick. Screens. I feel the same. נשמה, אנשים צעירים יש להם פחות סקס מ-2008, בסדר? We're trying to understand why altogether. So there's screens and Steve Jobs. Any other? Facebook. Porn. So everything is eventually related to the digital world again, right? You agree? I agree as well. And it's you mentioned all the right reasons. I mean, ultimately it's screens in your pocket, not here, in your pocket. Since 2007 and 8, the smartphones were introduced by Steve Jobs, it's true, and social networks, and combining them together created a machine that is so strong in pulling eyeballs and attention and taking time and lowering self-esteem and self-confidence and body image. It's hurting them terribly, specifically to young women. Sleeping hours are diminishing, and social capabilities are going down, right? Because people are spending, sorry? Extinct. So this is everywhere, right? Young and old. And how do young people meet nowadays? Tinder. Okay, everybody who has Tinder on their phones, please raise your hands. Nobody? You do. How is it going, friend? What? Sorry? It's dead. Doesn't work for you. No, it doesn't work. Tinder is going down.
It's just swiping, nothing comes out of it.
All right, it's just swiping, nothing. Okay, so, but do you have Tinder? All the rest of us have never had the chance to experience it, right? Online dating. So imagine we have it right here in front of us, some online dating. There you go.
I'm ready.
That's all. No question asked, no interaction. They know nothing of each other except one thing. How do you look? That's all. And they're happy. Do you see her?
So I was walking
She
up
seems
to her,
really
and she
happy.
did a very slight right swipe.
Yes. Why is she happy? Because she's choosing. She has power. She has excitement. She has tons of dopamine and adrenaline running through her brain. And this is what you get from those applications. It's the feeling of power and the browsing and the excitement of the potential. Most people don't get anything else, as you said, and many of them don't even want anything else except for this browsing experience and control. On the other hand, it is working for some people, and this is, from my perspective, the most interesting graph in the world. Okay? How do people meet? And you can see in 80 years a whole drama. Everything has changed. Now, this is evolution changing. Imagine we're in the jungle and there's a tiger and we can see how they're breeding and all that. So it's changes completely during very short period of time.
So this is a modern version of arranged marriage?
Nice. I love that. Okay, let's continue with this analogy. As you can see, 90-40. Most of the marriage were done with the involvement of the family. Much better. Your mother tells you, Shimon, you're going to marry Chaya. Don't argue. She's the daughter of the neighbors. You're going to marry her. The matchmaker. No, but this is family. This is your mother interfering, and you should obey your mother, as you always do. But then look what happened to the brand equity of mothers nowadays. It's so low. I mean, if my mother comes with Gal Gadot, engagé, I say, no, I'm not taking anything. If mother brings it, I don't touch it, right? You did obey your mother.
So today, I will take a shidduch over Tinder.
Because you're smart. But as you can see, the red line, the red trend line, yes, this is Tinder. And just like all the other online social networks, this is how it operates. It produces addiction and produces a habit, and it eventually makes you unable to do anything else. And this is why you see almost all the other ways decline, because people don't have the skills to actually approach someone and ask, hey, or make a barbecue. Of course, all comes back to meat eventually. But I do want to end this in a good taste. So I looked, by the way, British data is better than this. This is US. British data shows that British youngsters only use Tinder to the amount of like 15%, okay? Which is why you're hearing in your Tinder application, okay? And this is what we're seeing post-COVID. And the hope is concentrated around the declining red line. Young people are back at it again. Okay, can you see that? Very small, very narrow. But young people, and maybe they understood the lesson after COVID. We need to find something else. And now I would really like to end this up with few words, but I can only say them in Hebrew. And I was looking for the proper translation. In Hebrew it is, יש תקווה למין האנושי. And I guess those of you who understand Hebrew can see the dual meaning, right? Mean. Human species, human sex. Can you translate that to English for me?
There is a hope for the human species, or there is a hope for the human sex.
Right. But I want it to be like, a nice translation with the dual meaning inside of it. And I couldn't wrap my head around how to do this. So I consulted my best friend, who is? Exactly. ChatGPT, and I asked in Hebrew. Come on. Do you understand? First, I need to ask if I understand the dual meaning of hope for the human mean, sex and race. Do you understand the dual meaning? And he says, yes, of course I understand. It could be double meaning. It could be either simple as you wrote it, or full of cynicism and irony. Yeah, nice, but it's not what I meant. Okay, so I tell him, there's another possible meaning to this. And he says, oh yes, of course, there's another meaning of the difference between hope and trust, but also the necessity of the action and intervention. What? No. There's another meaning to that. It's about, and I give him a very concrete hint. Look at the word mean, sex and race, and find double meaning there. So now he ventures to something about relations between genders and acceptance. No, it's not that. Again, there's another. Now he goes to something else about biology. No, man. There's another one, and I keep arguing with him, and it doesn't get it. It doesn't get it. So I'm yelling at ChatGPT. You're honestly insisting not to see the double meaning that I refer to, and now he apologizes. I apologize if I didn't yet understand this, but in Hebrew, sex could also be sex. Now he understands this. I hope this is what you were looking for. Oh, really? Thank you. So could you please translate that, and then I get some, there is hope for humanity, both in our essence and our relations. Doesn't feel right. So here's one little hope for us. It doesn't work that good. It didn't solve this little puzzle of understanding a dual meaning, and definitely not by finding a right translation. And by the way, there is a research showing that as those machines are being used more and more, the world of content, the world of online content is being filled with generated AI content. And then the machines are swallowing this newly generated content and trying to put this new content on a different AI-generated content. This content doesn't work well. Machines needs fresh human blood, fresh human content to work well. And as the world will be filled with AI-generated content, the quality of the product will decrease. And this gives me hope. And another thing that gives me hope is this. Is the understanding, not only understanding the technology and how it operates, that there is a unique connection between strangers that can help each other and find common language and common reason, and find a community. So I do want to call you all to strengthen both our understanding of technology and usage of it, but also strengthen our humanity and our human connection, our community. This is the only way we could survive all the changes that are coming our way. I want to really thank you for being here with me tonight. Thank you so much. What? Oh, yeah. And then, if you scan this code, you get two things. First, I'm sending a weekly update. And secondly, I will send those of you who use this now a set of toolbox to start. If you don't use it already, use some generative AI in the most easy manner possible just for you guys. Thank you again for being here tonight. Thank you for having this amazing community of Israelis and Jews. Thank you for having the JW3. Thank you, Tel Aviv University Trust. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'm right here for you. Oh, die.